Hey friends, today I'm going to talk about my 4 top tips for having a natural, unmedicated birth. I just gave birth to my first baby boy at a local birth center and had a fantastic experience. I knew that I wanted to have an unmedicated birth, not because I was trying to be a hero, but I don't love beeping, I don't love hospitals, and I don't love needles. And so I knew that I was going to have to push the baby out somehow, and that natural was the way to go for me, simply because the thought of pushing out a baby naturally and the pain was less scary than having a needle in my back with an epidural. So everyone has different reasons for wanting to go natural. That was mine. I knew I'd be most relaxed when I was in an environment that wasn't going to even have access to that. So tip number 1 is to find a birth center or a midwife and have a home birth or a birth center birth. It's a lot easier to say no to drugs and interventions when you're super far away from them. For example, if you're at the birth center laboring away and you decide you want an epidural, you would have to get into your car, drive to the hospital, park, go to the hospital, check in, wait for a room, get labs done, wait for an anesthesia. See how long this is taking? When you have to go through all that and you know that your epidural is a couple of hours away simply because you're either laboring at home or in a birth center, it's a lot easier to just push through because it's not readily available. Also, your midwives are going to have a lot of tips on how to get through things naturally. My birth center in particular had a tub. The water felt amazing. They also had birthing balls, birthing stools, and a number of different contraptions and devices. They also had a huge queen size bed that was really comfortable. And all of that made it a lot easier for me to keep pushing through rather than having immediate access to drugs that I knew I didn't want. It simply made the choice a lot easier by essentially removing the choice or making it really hard to get that choice. Tip number 2 would be to get a doula. Research shows something like ridiculous, I'll put it down when I research it, that if you have a doula, you have way less C-sections, you have less tearing, you have less fear during birth. I forget what the exact fact is. I will put it down here so that you know what it actually is. But having a doula is fantastic. The only thing I can remember from my birth is this little rubby thing she was doing on my back, and it just felt so good. Probably even better than pain meds. But having a doula is extremely important. It gives your husband or your birth partner, whoever is there with you, the option to have someone else go and get things, just the opportunity to take a break. I also didn't realize how many decisions I would have to make during my pregnancy and even during my labor alone. Do I want to push things along? Do I want this shot? Do I want that shot? Do I want to take this vitamin? Do I not? And having someone who's really knowledgeable is extremely important, and doulas are fantastic. I can't say enough good things about them. I happen to love mine. I will definitely use her again. Lord willing, we have more children on every birth. I think it's really important to have a doula. A lot of doulas in training will do things for a lower cost. My insurance happened to cover it. So it's becoming more popular and they're definitely worth it. Even if you need to pay out of pocket, I highly recommend getting a doula. Tip number 3 would be to take a natural birthing class. My birth center offered 2 different classes. One was online and one was in person. The in-person one was called Comfort Measures, and you went with your birth partner, whoever is supporting you, and they taught different pressure point techniques, different positions to be in, and different things to expect during labor. That really helped because when you're having your first child, and especially when you're having a natural birth, your birth partner or husband is a lot more involved than they would be at the hospital. So I highly recommend taking a birth class. They also go over things like different type of meditation techniques. There are a million different ones. All of them basically are think about something else instead of the pain that you're going through. That's the bottom line of all these methods, in my opinion, is how to distract yourself from the pain just for long enough that you can get through that contraction or wave, as they like to call them. Waves are contractions, pain, which you're not supposed to think of it that way because it helps your body relax, but they're pain. And anyway, the birth classes were fantastic. They helped me kind of know a little bit more of what to expect. And mostly what they did was just dispel a lot of fear I had around birth. I didn't even realize that I was afraid of certain things, but going through the classes helped me break down some of those things and I think have an easier birth in some ways. Tip number 4 is along the same lines, is to either take the Bradley method, one of the meditation methods. I personally really enjoyed hypnobirthing. I listened to Bridget Taylor's playlists from YouTube. A lot of times I'd listen to them in the bath or the shower, cooking or cleaning while I was doing something else. I couldn't necessarily find the time to just sit down and listen to a meditation, but I'd have them going in the background. And I also listened to them during my birth. If you're having a natural birth, meditation and being able to distract yourself is extremely important. And Bridget Taylor's were amazing. They were so relaxing. I will link them down below. But I found them to be extremely helpful and were super just relaxing during my pregnancy too. And it helped me get excited and think about having a beautiful birth instead of just the fear or the fear of the unknown. So those are my 4 top tips. Find a midwife or have a home birth, get a doula, take a natural birthing class, and listen to Bridget Taylor's hypnobirthing. If you are thinking about having a natural unmedicated birth, you can totally do it. I highly recommend it. You will definitely be a champion at the end of it, but there is nothing to fear. The number one thing I would say about birthing is you should have a birth that makes you the least scared. So if going natural is what makes you feel the most relaxed, then that's what you should do. If the pain sounds more scary, then get an epidural, have a hospital birth, and do that. I knew for me the fear of needles and hospitals was going to be more scary than the actual pain of labor. And so for me, that was the best choice, and I had a fantastic experience. Feel free to leave any questions below. I'm super passionate about unmedicated births, and I definitely will choose them for my next one. There's nothing to fear. You are a warrior and a champion at the end of them if you can do them. Thanks, friends.